How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the stream. You can ask me anything that you like about politics. I'm here to answer any and all questions that you have about politics. There's no such thing as a dumb question. You can ask me anything you like. It can be as simple or as complicated as you need answered. There's no such thing as a dumb question. I am here to answer your questions about politics. I know that politics can be really intimidating if you don't know all that much about it. I know I was really intimidated trying to figure out politics when I first started getting into it, and I was always worried about asking a question that was going to make me seem dumb or ill-informed. You don't got to worry about that here. I am just here to answer all of your good faith questions about politics. No judgments, no debating, no ridicule. You don't got to worry about, if I ask this question, he's going to think I'm some sort of MAGA fanatic, or if I ask this question, he's going to think I'm some sort of squishy cucktard. There's no judgments here whatsoever. Catherine says, what exactly is NATO? NATO stands for the North American Trade Organization. It is basically a coalition of countries that have agreed to protect each other against, any sort of adversarial attack. So any country that is in NATO promises to go to the aid of anybody else that is attacked. So like if France is attacked, then Italy and America and England will go to help, and vice versa. And specifically, NATO has been used to deter Russian aggression, because in the past that was something that we were really worried about, like all these countries that are aligned with the United States, but were bordering Russia, were really concerned that Russia was going to try to invade them, or, try to reconstitute the USSR. And we have been keeping up that that organization to protect those nations from getting absorbed. North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Sorry, I was just corrected on the exact acronym for NATO. All right, so yeah, I hope that answers your question. All right, we're off to a banger. Catherine says, did Trump opt out of it? I don't believe he has officially yet, but he is hostile to NATO because he is working for Russia as opposed to working for America, and it is in Russia's best interest to disband NATO. And that is something that he wants to do, and he is making the moves to do it, and he would like it to happen. And it'll, if I was going to put money on something happening, I would put money on that happening. AEG says, will we ever see anything outside of the two-party system gain power? Potentially, but I don't know. I feel a lot like people blame the two-party system for a lot of problems that are not necessarily the fault of the two-party system. It would be great if we had ranked choice voting and we could have a more diverse sort of like political climate. But at the same time, like, America only has two options right now, Republican and Democrat, and they get it wrong more than half the time. So, I don't really have a ton of faith that adding more options to the table is going to be beneficial in general. Let's see here. User a whole bunch of numbers says, Russia conquered USA faster than they could conquer Ukraine. Yeah, that's what happens when you pay for, to install your own oligarch in America. Jonathan Hong says, how did all these far-left Democrats get elected to Congress? Was it rigged? No. People really like far-left politics. Progressive politics are very populist. They are for the working class. They are for protecting the cleanliness of our air and our water and the safety of our food and medications and lowering costs for all Americans. There's everybody that's in power right now is in power because somebody voted for them. And so I feel like I think people are often sort of like ascribe intent to the political parties, like the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. Like, why did they force us to only choose between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump? And it's like, well, these people were voted for, so that's the reason why. Timmy Kensel says, is Trump trying to make peace between USA and Russia? No, he is not. He is trying to help Russia. It's not going to help America to sort of like reestablish diplomatic relations with Russia. It is only to Russia's benefit. Oof says the U.S. was also the aggressor with the Cuban Missile Crisis. That I don't think that is accurate. Let's see here. The Practical Extremist says Kamala Harris was not voted for. I mean, she technically was because she was on the ballot with Joe Biden when he was voted for. At K Red Flex says, is Trump a dictator? I don't know if he's officially a dictator yet, but he is trying to be a dictator, and the Republican Party and the right-wing Supreme Court are open to him dismantling the exact kind of checks and balances for him to become a dictator. Adam Sandler fan says, why the fuck won't MAGA wake up? It's difficult to wake up when you are being inundated with the exact kind of propaganda and misinformation that causes people to think that Trump is a good president and not an existential threat to the health and safety of everybody living in this country and on the potentially on the planet. And, you know, we should all be empathetic to that, because there but for the grace of God go I. If you were born into that family in that city, in that state, going to that church, getting your news from that TV channel, and all of your friends on social media are sharing the same stories, then it'd be really easy for you to fall into that propaganda frame as well. Oof says, kind of crazy Democrats can't even tell that their whole party has switched to warmongering. First of all, you spelled it warmoging, which is not actual, but also, oof, that is not accurate, what you just said. The Democratic Party is not warmongering. The Democratic Party is, you know, upholding strategic alliances for the betterment of the globe. And if you want me to get more into that, I will, but something tells me that you're not here in good faith, so I'm not really going to waste my breath explaining things then have you just call me a cuck. Mano Shrestha says, what will U.S. do if all the workers get deported? Prices are probably going to go up. Food supplies are going to go down. General production and supply chains are going to go down. So it's going to be difficult for everybody except for the rich. But that's what they want. They want us all to be desperate and to have to struggle to get basic necessities so that we will do whatever jobs they tell us to do. And, you know, and if we're the kind of people, or if we're the group of people that they don't care if we just fucking go die in the street and starve to death, then so be it. They don't really give a shit about us. Let's see here. Madcap Monkey says, behind every Republican accusation is a confession. Completely agree with that. Dre Cause24 says, Democrat employee. I am not paid by the Democratic Party. JJ Johnson says, do you ever get along with your wife's boyfriend? My wife doesn't have a boyfriend, but me and your mom get along great. Let's see here. Soulful says, I'm not hearing about mass deportations, just one-offs. So, you know, the news around the mass deportations is pretty scant at the moment, I will give you that. But ICE is working. Like, they're doing the work right now, and they have already been rounding up people that should not be deported. They are rounding up people who are American citizens. They've rounded up some Native Americans. They've rounded up some veterans, which should, you know, incense people. I don't know why people aren't fucking pissed off about that. I think we should be much more concerned about the, you know, shipping of immigrants to Guantanamo Bay, which is illegal and doesn't make sense logistically. It's more expensive, and it's just a human rights catastrophe. But yeah, they're putting the pieces into play. Like, they're thinking about, they're already making the moves to set up like their prison camps for the people that they can't deport to whatever country because they haven't set up the mechanisms for it yet. Oof. All right, so yeah, you are not here in good faith, so I am going to go ahead and block you because, yeah, the thing you just wrote is completely inaccurate. Wait a minute, what did you just say? No, Trump's immigration policy is absurd. Oof said Trump's immigration policy is absurd. All right, well, you saved yourself for a moment. Winona Ryder is also getting blocked. Fantastic. I'm very curious about this. Chase Woodall says, oh, censorship, LMAO. Well, this is my live. I'm allowed to do whatever the fuck I want. Mario Cosio said, did BlackRock buy the Panama Canal? I haven't seen any reporting about that. I did see that they're, like, heavily invested in, like, certain, I think, like, trade organizations that operate through Panama, so I'm not 100% sure about that. Let's see here. Easton says, everyone stop wasting your time listening to this BS. No proof, all claims. I mean, you guys can just Google everything I'm saying and you'll see that it's true. Oof says, I actually do want to have a genuine, true discussion. All right, well then ask a question. Don't just make blanket false statements. K-Red Flex says, why is no one talking about the plane crashes at an all-time high? Well, people are talking about it, but this is the strategy of the Trump organization, is they do so many bad things that the bad things that they did yesterday get drowned out by the bad things that they're doing today. So we were talking about the fact that they slashed the budget and fired a bunch of people from the FAA, and then all of a sudden planes started running into each other and falling out of the skies and shit like that. And the people that work for the FAA are like, this is completely insane. We were already overworked and now we have 1,000 extra things to do. They are firing the people that make sure that the planes are safe mechanically, that we're able to plan out these routes safely. And, you know, planes are fucking falling out of the sky and shit like that. So, but then, you know, there was that stupid fucking meeting with Zelensky where they fucking lied to his fucking face and to the American public and bullied him into saying a bunch of shit that wasn't true. I'm glad that he stood his fucking ground, but yeah, and then we were all yelling about that, and then he had the stupid fucking State of the Union that was all lies and bullshit, and you know, basically just like a campaign speech where the State of the Union is supposed to be like this bipartisan exercise where you just talk about what's going on in the country. And instead he was like, I'm the greatest and everybody else fucking sucks and nothing is my fault and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, you know, they just pile on a bunch of shit that makes it really difficult for us to keep everything straight. I'm keeping a list, thankfully, so we can get into any of this shit whenever you like. All right, scrolling down to the bottom. Let's see here. Daniel Lehman says, what's your reaction to Democrats not clapping for a child cancer survivor? So two things. Number one, the Democrats didn't clap for that because they did not agree with that political stunt that was going on. The Republican Party, led by Donald Trump and Elon Musk, has cut funding for pediatric cancer research. I'm going to say that again, just so that I make sure that we tattoo it in everybody's brain. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and the Republican Party have cut funding for pediatric cancer research. And yet, they put this kid with cancer up on stage and say, look at how great we are doing for this kid that is dying. We have cut funding to try to save his life, but instead we're going to do this fucking fake ass. We're going to give him a job with the Secret Service and he's going to get his dying wish. He wouldn't have had to have died maybe if we had continued funding cancer research for children, but we would much rather give that money to billionaires. So we'll give him the next best thing, which is that we're going to shake him here on stage and we'll let everybody look at him and clap for him and stuff like that. All right, scrolling down to the bottom. Let's see here. Okay, come on, man is just repeating all that stupid stuff. All right. Okay. Father Jack Hackett says, are you happy with your new Russian ally? No, I am not. And most Americans are not. All right. Okay. Cicely Love says, liberal tears. Your mom licked some of my liberal tears last night. Let's see here. Nicole says, such small-minded people in here who need to open books and turn off Fox News. Yeah, but let's do that thing where we, like, don't name-call each other and we just try to, like, talk about the facts of politics so that maybe people can get on the same page, you know? Carter Matt says, how about all the fraudulent Social Security money? So all those stories have been debunked. And so I will give you guys the shorthand. We can dig into everything that Doge and Elon Musk and Donald Trump are saying, but because we have already proven that so many of the things that they're saying are lies, it's just easier to read the things that they are saying and know that they are bullshit. Because again, like everything they're saying has been disproven. The Social Security thing has been disproven. The transgender mice thing has been disproven. And I also love how they kind of like put, you know, idiocy and stupidity onto other people. Like he was like, we're promoting LGBTQ in Lathos, which is a country no one's ever heard of before. And we were all sitting there watching there. Just like, I know exactly what fucking country you're talking about, you ding dong. All right, just gonna go and block. Some people are spamming the comments with poop emojis. Let's see here. Chase Woodall says, why did they edit the transgender mice thing then? I don't know what you're talking about editing it. Vike says, block people that are spamming. Yeah, I'm blocking as much as I can. Let's see here. Timmy Kensel says he cut 20% of the cancer research because it was funded for $30 billion a year. I don't know what point you're trying to make. Like, is that too much money for children with cancer? Like, are we really going to pinch pennies for children with cancer? Oh my God, $30 billion a year just to save children with cancer. Wow. Yeah, what a fucking ghoul, you know? All right, this person's getting blocked as well. Cool. Thank you very much. All right. What are your black swans mean? Kevin Bleem says, how do you feel about the left media editing interviews with Kamala to make her look better? That is inaccurate, Kevin Bleem. I don't know if you're a real person or if you're just spreading right-wing propaganda narratives, but what you just said was completely inaccurate, and I would pray, if you are a real person, that you get your news from different sources. All right, let's see here. Okay, Alice says people have no idea how much money the government has. Okay, yeah, that's probably accurate. Let's see here. Blue Man Flyers says, I know what has been debunked. Here, you're a Democrat talking smack. Shaking my head. Oh, I blocked you. I don't know. That sentence doesn't make any sense. Mira says, okay, so I'm trying to have a conversation with my Republican dad. How can I educate him? So Mira, facts and data does not actually change people's minds. It's good that you are trying to engage your dad on this, but the fact of the matter is, like, he's getting his information from one place and you're getting your information from somewhere else. So you have to figure out the things that you can agree on and build from there. Can you agree that the billionaires have too much and the poor people have too little? Can you agree that it's weird that depending on where you get your news, you have completely different ideas of what's going on with the world? Can you agree that the climate is different now than it was 20 years ago? Who are the people that you can trust, that you can agree on? And similarly, if you just talk about the emotional foundation of these issues, it has a way of swaying people. They did studies on this. There's a whole story on this on NPR, where if you talk to somebody who is completely against abortion, 10 out of 10 anti-abortion, and you explain to them, like, listen, I got an abortion and it was necessary because of this, because of that, and you relate to them on an emotional level, you can really push the needle that way. You don't need to take your MAGA dad from Trump supporter to AOC supporter. All you got to do is push the needle a little bit. But that's the work, and I'm really glad that you're doing it. All right, scrolling down to the bottom. Scott says, liberals won't listen to reason or real facts. All right, well, that's not a question, Scott, so you are out of here. I don't know why this person is just spamming with the Black Swan, but that is, I'm going to get rid of that person also. All right, user whole bunch of numbers says, so how is it possible for one man to lose 150 billion but still be the richest person on Earth? So I'm not really sure what you are referring to here, but 150 billion dollars. There are people on this planet who have double that. And so while that seems insane to me and you to lose $150, the fact that a person could still have $200 billion after that, it should make all of us gasp. It should incense us that there are people on this planet with that much money, and that there are also people who are living on the streets because they can't afford rent and they can't afford food and they can't afford their medication. Like, it's unconscionable. It should incense everybody, and it should really bother you that there is one political party that is saying that the people who have $4 billion need to have their taxes cut for some fucking reason. Like, why? Why? What's the purpose? What is going on there? Why would we do that? Why? Do they not have enough money? Can we not fill the hole in their fucking soul with all these billions of fucking dollars in gold yachts and fucking diamond-crusted boots? All right, so yeah, not really sure what you were getting at, but that's my take on that. Oof says, did you agree with the Iraq war? No, I did not. Seth the Firefighter says, why does the left hate America so much? We don't. Zachary Quinnett says, can you justify the Democrats' behavior at the recent speech? I would love to hear it. Wow, real emphasis there, Zachary. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand what you think I need to justify. Number one, the Republicans were way more disruptive for all the State of the Unions for Democratic presidents. Number two, they were objecting to a bunch of made-up bullshit and divisive nonsense coming out, and fucking propaganda coming out of the mouth of the President of the United States. Things that had already been debunked, known lies, and the President of the United States are just out there saying that shit again and again. So yeah, I don't know what you think they did wrong at the recent speech. All right, scrolling down to the bottom, says, stop docking me, let me join, please, Nomad. Nomad, if you have a question, put it in the comments. Here, Alex, the British King, says, the Dems didn't stand for any of the survivors or even the brain cancer survivor. You guys are pathetic. Did not finish his comment. So, again, I don't know how many times I need to say this. The reason why they did not clap for that is because it was a political stunt that they did not think was in good taste. The Republican Party, Trump, Elon Musk, cut funding for pediatric cancer research. The Republican Party, Elon Musk, and Donald Trump cut funding for pediatric cancer research. The kid that they were picking up and waving in front of the American people and saying, we're going to make this kid an honorary Secret Service member before he dies of cancer. They could have tried to help that kid survive. by not cutting funding for pediatric cancer research. But instead, they cut funding for pediatric cancer research. Now that kid's going to die, and they're giving him a little fucking Make-A-Wish moment on television. It was disgusting. It was hypocritical, and I don't know why you think we need to justify, Democrats standing up for principles. Let's see here. Ray P says we can't have a debate convo with them is because they don't feed into facts. Only the elite benefit. I don't know who you were talking about. Let's see here. IDKAF27 says thoughts if Trump pushing back Mexico tariffs. Trump has this weird collection of what's the word I'm looking for? Incentives, where he will make these claims about how great these tariffs are going to be. The stock market crashes, and then he's like, wait, no, that means bad. And so he tries to like make all these adjustments like on the fly. And if you ask him like what's going on, he won't say, well, like the stock market did bad, and so I really wanted to fix that. He'll say like, oh, I negotiated a great deal, and they give us all these concessions, so I was allowing them to undo the tariffs or fucking whatever. But yeah, it's all complete. It's chaos. It's nonsense. It is just going to hurt the American people. I don't really I don't know if we need to dig into the exact motivations just to know that it is chaos and irresponsible and ruining our relationship with our allies and our neighbors. And it's only going to hurt people in the middle class and below. Mick GA period says, why is Biden racist? He isn't. Mom says, where is the source that you found the defunding of pediatric cancer that you refer to? Mom, I would just say, Google Republicans cut pediatric cancer research and see what pops up, because you have the same Google that I do. User a bunch of numbers says, you make it sound like Trump's simple when he's not. He's a negotiator. He negotiates. Think long game. No, he's not. He's an idiot. He's a bad negotiator. He's done a whole bunch of bad deals. He's gone bankrupt like 16 times. He was not able to successfully run a casino, which is a business that literally just prints money. So yeah, you will never convince me that he is a genius of any kind. He says dumb things all the time. He does dumb things all the time. He speaks like an idiot. He talks like an idiot. I don't understand what more evidence that you need. Let's see here. Rich and Janet Wave says they are cutting cancer research in its proposed budget. That includes programs for pediatric cancer research. That is accurate, Rich, but that also they also already did it. During the Biden administration, they needed to pass what's called the continuing resolution, which is the way that we make sure that the government stays open when we have not agreed on a budget. And because the Republican Party are, chaos monkeys who are completely incompetent, all of these continuing resolutions have come down to the wire. Now, we had like a week to pass the continuing resolution in like the last month of the Biden administration, something like that. And we had a deal. It was right about to go through. And then Elon Musk started tweeting about how he didn't like the deal. And then all of a sudden, all these Republicans say that they weren't going to vote for it and they needed to make a bunch more cuts. So then they cut out pediatric cancer research and a whole other bunch of crap. And then finally, the Republicans were like, okay, this is a CR that we can agree with. And then that was how we kept the government open until Trump could take over in January. So yeah, if they're planning on doing more pediatric cancer cuts, then that's fucking... that's terrifying, K Red Flex says, since both sides are divided and they both know it, what can they do to come together as a country? So K Red Flex, the way that you talk about like both parties being this and both parties being that, you're making it sound like both parties are equally bad, but they're not, The Democratic Party is this unwieldy beast because it is made up of a bunch of little groups of people. You got the LGBTQ group, you got the African American group, you got the Latino group, you got the women's rights groups, and everybody's trying to make everybody happy, and it's very difficult. In addition, they are also trying to do things and fix things because they believe, this is the philosophy of the Democratic Party, that the government should be able to do things for people and it should be able to make the country better, and that government can be a source for good. The Republican Party, by contrast, is a monolith, largely a monolith of white male Christians, and so it's easier for them to coalesce around one specific ethos. Also, it is their philosophy that government is bad, and so when they get elected, they just try to break things and not do things, which is a lot harder to do than to do things and fix things. So, as far as like coming together, like, I don't know, like one party is fucking doing Zig Heils on Inauguration Day and amping up the neo-Schnazi party in Germany. And the other party is saying, like, hey, maybe we can make healthcare cheaper for people, and did the Inflation Reduction Act, and, you know, expanded healthcare for veterans, and capped the price of insulin, and capped the price of asthma inhalers, and joined the picket line with the auto workers unions, and brought technological manufacturing back to America, and a whole fucking list of other great things that the Democratic Party has done. So yeah, you know, I would encourage you to not use that both sides nonsense going forward. Kevin Bleem says, do you think we should send troops to Ukraine? You know, I don't. I worry that that would escalate things. And honestly, America is not going to do that if Donald Trump is already just cutting funding and making sure that we're not sending any more munitions over there. And all of Europe is now having to amp up their defense budgets so that they can prepare to have a hot war with Russia because, you know, without American assistance, they're not confident that Ukraine can maintain its sovereignty and maintain its borders. They're just going to be fully invaded by Russia going forward. So yeah, you know, sending troops is so far down the list of possible things that we could even do going forward. It's like not even worth talking about. Let's see here. Lucas Pruitt says, oh no, we aren't funding a war we're not in. Lucas Pruitt, how do you feel about Trump sending billions of dollars and 2,000-pound bombs to Israel right now? How do you feel about that, Lucas Pruitt? Let's see here. JC says, do you hate Trump more than you love America? I don't hate Trump. I just think he's a really shitty person, a terrible president who belongs in jail and is hurting a lot of people. Oof says, do you not believe the U.S. has any right to speak on Ukraine when we also destroy countries? Yeah, you know, there's a big difference between what Russia is doing to Ukraine right now and what America has done in the past. America's history of foreign policy and empire building and regime change and stealing resources from poorer countries, like all of that is real and it's terrible. But that does not mean that when Russia does it to Ukraine that we should not be able to say, like, hey, that's bad, because less of bad is better than more of bad. If you want those things to stop, you need to vote for the kind of politicians who are against doing that kind of thing. And I'm sorry, but that's Republican shit, guys. It is Republican shit to install dictators in other countries because they will sell us resources for cheaper. It is in league with the billionaire class who just cares about the bottom line and doesn't mind siphoning billions of dollars of resources from poor countries and fucking ruining their economies and plunging their governments into utter chaos just so that they can get even fucking richer. You know, you can miss me with that shit because, again, it's just Republican nonsense that helps Russia. All right, let's see here. Sabrina says, can you explain the transgenic mice issue? I don't really understand that. I only have a little bit of a knowledge on that. Basically, transgenic is the word that they were using for the specific type of gene research where they were trying to think of new cancer remedies or therapies or stuff like that. And transgender is opposite. Transgender is just, can we get this male mouse to feel like he is a female mouse and want to be a female mouse? And those are obviously completely different things. One of them was medical research, that was what was actually happening. And what Trump said was they're trying to turn the mice gay, and that is not what was happening. So yeah, it's a lie. Let's see here. Laura, good to see you again. Soulful says, thoughts on the Fair Tax Act. I actually don't know. Can you be more specific about that? Oof says, I just want people to know that the U.S. antagonizes other nations and then acts innocent. Yeah, oof, 100%. But, you know, again, who is responsible for doing that? Like, let's look at the Reagan shit. Let's look at the fucking George W. Bush shit. All right? Like, you know, I'm out here fucking talking about electing better political leaders and being a better version of America than our past. You know, and part of the recipe for doing that is not electing Republicans going forward. And you can talk to me all you want about like all the strutting and funding of the Pentagon that the Democratic Party does, but think about the narrative surrounding the Democratic Party. If they cut the Pentagon's budget by $5, the entire fucking country would flip its mind and go, look at these fucking soft cucks who want to hug the terrorists and they don't give a shit about national security and blah, blah, blah. The Democrats have to keep raising the budget for the Pentagon because otherwise, if a soldier got a splinter everybody would go, this is because the Democrats don't care about the military, they don't care about our service members, they don't care about national security, and we should never vote for them again. Meanwhile, the Republican Party is out here firing people, firing the head of fucking military branches just because they're black or just because they're women, people, decorated officers who've served this country, and they're just fucking throwing them in the garbage. They don't give a fucking shit about our veterans. They're cutting they're cutting health care for veterans. They were responsible for the greatest national security fuck up in our country's history, 9/11. And yet we don't view the Republican Party as being bad on national security. We don't view them as being bad for our military because they do so much fucking, oh, we love our troops kind of bullshit. But look at what they actually do, man? All right, let's scroll down to the bottom. Tim OJ69 says, my question is, why are you so ignorant about politics? I'm not. I'm quite well informed, if you can hear the things I'm saying. Let's see here. Lucas Pruitt says, yes, just because he was black, not like he went against Trump's political views, and that's what you do. No, you don't fire those people. Those people always roll over to the next administration. And he didn't go out there and say, I oppose to Donald Trump, and I'm going to not say yes to everything that he does. He just talked about what it was like growing up black in America, and that apparently was too much for Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump. So yeah, you can miss me with that bullshit also. Kyle says, can you explain how tariffs are going to damage the economy? Sure. So there are a bunch of different mechanisms by which tariffs are going to ruin the economy. Number one is going to raise prices, which is going to increase inflation. It is going to worsen the cost of living crisis that Americans are already suffering under. That is going to slow down the economy because there are not going to be as many people, are not going to be able to buy as many things. And then, companies are not going to be able to hire as many people because they're not going to be selling as many things. So they're going to be making less profits. People are going to not be able to buy things. And then the economy is going to slow in that way. Also, people in America are not going to be able to sell their goods to other countries as easily because other countries are going to put retaliatory tariffs on America. So there are going to be farmers here in America who were counting on selling, I don't know, millions or billions of dollars worth of their produce to Canada or Mexico or overseas. And now they are not going to do that because they don't want to incur the extra cost of importing those goods because they're going to have to pay additional tariffs to get that stuff from America. Additionally, the rest of the world is going to continue trading amongst themselves. So their economies are going to continue increasing. Their GDPs are going to continue increasing. They're going to have great growth in that market because they're going to have that kind of global economy that allows for open trade and everybody selling to each other and everybody having a great time. And we're just going to be left behind because it's going to be so expensive for us to take goods in and also send goods out that it just won't be worth it. Additionally, we're not going to be able to get rare earth minerals and other things that we need for technological advancement. So all these other countries are going to fucking lap us in renewable technology and advanced chip manufacturing and shit like that. So yeah, it's a nightmare. It's terrible, etc. Let's see here. Spiker says, when will Israel open its border? Diversity is a strength. When the people of Israel elect a not right-wing psychopath like Benjamin Netanyahu, then they will open their borders. Brian G says, what's going to be the excuse when farmers sell more than ever before? Hey, man, from your lips to God's ears, but it's not going to happen, Let's see here. Husky272 says, but they can lower the price because they can lower their tariff and we lower. Yeah, but in order for that to happen, we would have to lower our tariffs first. But because Trump put the tariffs on, the other countries now have to add their tariffs back. And there could be like a mutual disarmament thing, like you can lower your tariffs if I lower my tariffs, but that's not what Trump is doing. He just keeps on threatening to add, oh, you're going to add a tariff based on my tariff? Well, I'm going to add another tariff based on your tariff. And then they're going to say, well, I got to have to put a tariff on that tariff that you put on my tariff because I put your tariff, blah, 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 blah. It's stupid. He's stupid. It's stupid. It's going to hurt a lot of people. That is the subtitle for everything the Trump administration is doing. Crystal says, on Social Security, you have to send forms every year. How are 160-year-olds sending in yearly paperwork? They're not, Crystal. That story has been debunked. Let's see here. Para369 says, how do people not understand why tariffs are bad for the consumer? Because of propaganda. They've got right-wing propaganda telling them that it is not the way that it is. We know that tariffs are paid for by American companies and that they push those price hikes onto the consumer. So we know that that is a tax for the American consumer. But Trump still goes out there and tells people that China is going to pay the tariffs, or Canada is going to pay the tariffs, or Mexico is going to pay the tariffs. So he's actively lying to convince people of things that are not true. You know, that's the reason why. Crunchy to Delaruck says, are you a Democrat or Republican? I'm a Democrat. Cal says, do you think the stock market will crash? I mean, it kind of technically has crashed. You know, it lost 1,000 points in 2 days under Donald Trump. More than that, I think it was like 1,300 actually. Whether or not it continues its downward spiral, I have no fucking idea. You know, because Trump will reverse the tariffs, then he'll bring the tariffs back, and then he'll, you know, sign waivers for certain industries, and then maybe they will go up, and then maybe he'll give bullshit government contracts to other industries to try to make them go up. Like, it's not a cohesive strategy. It is just, you know, fucking, it's like whack-a-mole, you know? And this is not the way that government's supposed to work. You're not supposed to just, like, call up the president and say, hey, can you make an exception for my company? And then he's like, oh, yeah, okay, sure, you know? Hey, can you make an exception for my contract? Yeah, okay, cool. And then there's, like, 100 others that can't get through, you know, and then those guys just go bankrupt. Like, what the fuck, man? You know, it is complete. It's a clusterfuck of incompetence. Oof says, but if Trump is for big business, then why would he do tariffs? So there are theories about that, but we don't really know. You know, he is a con man and he is a grifter. So he doesn't care if the economy tanks, if he makes money by companies bribing him to be exempt from the tariffs. Like, I know that he, you know, they just like signed a 1 month waiver for the big 4 car manufacturers to be exempt from the tariffs. I'm not entirely convinced that it was not just because they put money into his pocket, or, you know, they were saying like, hey, you're going to destroy our company and that's not cool. And then he goes like, oh yeah, okay, cool, you know. But again, like, that's not the way it's supposed to work, because the people who can't afford to get into that room, the people who don't have the connections to get in the room, like, they're just fucking shit out of luck. Like, what the hell, man? Let's see here. Also, let's see, someone just put tariffs kill small business, and that's also pretty accurate. That's another good point, is that these giant corporations, they can take the hit, but these small corporations can't. Hey, cool crab. Thanks for that. And similarly, so this is a theory that I heard today. I don't know how accurate it is. Maybe it's like a long-term plan, like 5 years down the road. But if you look at the history of shit like this with dictators and autocrats and tariffs, sometimes somebody who wants to like annex the country next to them will put massive tariffs on them to hurt their economy so that it's easier for us to invade them. So some have hypothesized, like, you know, Trudeau in Canada has hypothesized that maybe he is trying to wreck Canada's economy with these tariffs so that America can invade and take over Canada. And this obviously lines up with all the jokes, quote-unquote jokes, that Trump makes about Canada becoming the 51st state and shit like that. So, yeah, I don't know. You know, there's not a high possibility of that happening in the near future, but the fact that that is, you know, a historical correlation should be something that concerns and incenses everybody. Spiker, quit spamming the comments with that. I already answered that question. Cal, why do Republicans always argue that Trump had a better economy before Biden? Because they're liars, and they are either lying or they are buying the propaganda that they are seeing. Oof says, could you imagine we live to see the day Canada becomes part of the U.S.? Probably not. You've got to be kidding, says Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act made the Great Depression last longer. Trump will start the next one. I literally just learned about that today, so yeah. Let's see here. Desislav Stankov says, do you believe in Al Green impeachment? Do you mean impeaching Al Green or Al Green's attempt to impeach Donald Trump? Spiker, you've been warned. Now you are out of here. Congratulations. All right. Yeah, Desislav, let me know. Trump. So here's the thing. Al Green did this in the first term. The rest of the Democratic Party was trying to be a little more strategic about that, and they were like, we can't just file articles of impeachment every time Trump does something impeachable, and then the Republican House won't bring them up for a vote, and even if they did bring them up for a vote, they have the majority, and so they're not going to vote for the impeachment to go forward. So, you know, what's a good political strategy? I don't know what the answer is, but the fact of the matter is that until Democrats take back the House, any articles of impeachment that get filed are going nowhere. So I appreciate that, Representative Al Green is kind of doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is when the president does something that you should be impeached for, you file articles of impeachment. But if you're doing like the strategy of it, maybe that's not the move. You don't want to be the boy that cried impeachment. So yeah, but I don't know what the answer to that is. Like, this happened in the first administration, where when Democrats finally got the House back and they were able to find a lock solid impeachable offense, like no question whatsoever, he did it, he's guilty as fuck, like let's go. And what happened? He got impeached. The Senate was still the Senate couldn't get 2/3 in the Senate, and so he was not removed from office. And then everybody argued about, oh, is this good for Trump? Is this bad for Trump? He ended up losing that election, but not by a lot. And mostly probably because he fucked up COVID so badly. So yeah, it's anybody's guess as to what the knock-on effects of that extremely well articulated and planned out impeachment happened in Trump's first term. So, should we just let Al Green go and do fucking file articles of impeachment like every fucking other week, because that's how often Trump does impeachable offenses? Like, I don't know what the answer to that question is. But yeah, I think the only thing that we can do, cool glasses, the only thing that we can do is communicate to people that Trump is doing impeachable offenses, that he should be impeached, and that we should elect people to the House and the Senate that will impeach Donald Trump, because he deserves it, Let's see here. Neutsche Gamer, good to see you again. Why is Trump the greatest president in American history? Now I remember you. It's not good to see you again. Lotto says, do you think that we need peace in politics where you can say anything without people hating you? So Lotto, it's an interesting question, because I am of the belief that we should spare no quarter in railing the Republican Party and the billionaire class that is in league with them for the damage that they are doing to this country, to our institutions, to the middle class and below, the way that they are stripping this country for parts and selling them to the highest bidder just so they can put more money in their fucking pocket while they're stomping on our fucking necks with their gold and diamond-studded boots. But I also don't believe in calling the people who vote for those Republican politicians stupid or ugly or dumb or ill-informed or whatever, or like they're in a cult. I think that if you are a Republican and you have some objections to the things that the Democratic Party is doing, then it is fine. But if you are a Republican and you say liberals are all cucks and they're all soy boys and they are stupid and they don't know their history and they don't do their own research and they're sheeps and they're trying to turn everybody trans and stuff like that, I think that is also wrong. And so part of my big, my big crusade here is in getting people to recognize who the real enemy is. It's not other voters. Democrats, your enemy is not Republican voters. And if you are a left-leaning Democrat, your enemy is not centrist Democrats. And if you're a centrist Democrat, your enemy is not progressive Democrats. And if you're a Republican voter, your enemy is not Democratic voters. And it's also not trans kids. And it's also not immigrants. And it is also not poor people or brown people. All of our enemies collectively is the billionaire class. And it is unequivocal that the Republican Party is working in league with them. 75% of all billionaire donations went to Republican Party candidates in 2024. And the Republican Party has consistently cut taxes and cut regulations in order to make billionaires richer in exchange for all the donations that they get for their political campaigns. It's unequivocal. It's fucking A to B. There's like it's not a bank shot to try to figure this out. It's obvious. And so the sooner that we can get people to stop taking pot shots at other voters and just kind of coalesce around, let's stop the billionaires and the party that is working with the billionaires, aka the Republican Party, I think the better off we will all be. But as far as like peace in politics is concerned, like I worry that you're talking about like both parties are the same, or we just need to dial down the rhetoric entirely. Like, I will never dial down my rhetoric around how the billionaire class and the Republican Party are fucking us all over. And they are ruining people's lives. They're killing people. They are making us less safe. They're stealing people's futures away from them by turning us all into fucking wage slaves and ruining the planet and threatening our very existence here. So yeah, I'm not dialing down that rhetoric, but I'm not gonna, but I don't think that we should be, but I do think that we should be dialing down the rhetoric about other voters. You know, I don't think that we should be calling Republicans ugly. I don't think they should be calling us cucks. They can if they want. I don't give a shit if you call me a cuck. You can call me a cuck all day long. All right. Let's see here. Vic says, hi, I'm Jarrett the Clown. Hi, Vic. Nice to meet you. Or I guess your name is Jarrett. Let's see here. Vic is a bot. Okay, well, we will go ahead and block Vic. Fantastic. All right. Noiche Gamer. Can you say anything negative about Biden or the Democratic Party? Yeah, I can, Noiche, and I have. You've been on my live stream before. You know what my criticisms are of Biden and the Democratic Party. I'll give you a quick version right now. I don't like the fact that Biden continued to send money and weapons to Israel, even though they were guilty of war crimes. I don't think that the Democratic Party should have put their finger on the scale to help centrist candidates as opposed to progressive candidates. There you go. All right? Now you can miss me with that shit. Mary, do you really believe there is a Republican Party? Do you really believe there is a Republican Party? Yeah, it does exist. It's the MAGA Party, but it is the Republican Party. Zolt Antal says, Trump pressed pause on tariffs till April 2nd, but markets have not moved upward. What does that tell you? Probably that they're worried, they're not going to re-correct. It's not like people are going to go re-buy the stocks now, knowing that the tariffs are probably right around the corner again, and that the market's just going to go right back down. Oh no. How long have I been on for? March 13th. What the fuck happened? Oh no, I got reported. All right, everybody who is watching on Twitch and on YouTube, I got reported on TikTok. I'm gonna have to appeal this decision real quick. I have a pretty good history of winning these appeals, but it does take some time, so I'm probably going to have to dip out of here because otherwise I will not have any questions to answer. But I appreciate you guys being here, and yeah, if I get my access reinstated, then I will be back here tomorrow because I have the day off tomorrow, which I'm very excited about. But yeah, other than that, thank you for being here. Thanks for all the questions. And thank you for watching. As always, it's the Rocketeer, Johnny, Volty, Madcap Monkey, Tyro Pillar, Ilmoth. Yeah, thank you for being here. And yeah, maybe I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll see if my access gets back. We'll see what happens. All right, take care. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye.